Hello fellow gardeners, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. If you remember in the previous episode, we talked about the hanging baskets, and I gave you many options like the plastic hanging basket or the organic hanging basket, and this is the cocoa fiber hanging basket. If you do get a cocoa fiber hanging basket and it's a slightly smaller basket, it will lose far more through evaporation than a bigger basket. The advantage of having a bigger basket, I think this is a 12-inch basket, is that when you do water your plant, it will sit, the water will drain, it will sit, and by the time the area that you do get the soil moist will last longer. However, with a smaller basket is that the evaporation is very fast, and so you'll have to water it every day. With a bigger basket, you may have to water it once every 2 days because it does retain a lot of moisture. The second thing to do is that in order for it to retain the moisture, I have two ways that I usually use. One is I cut a bit of plastic and just put it in the basket like that. So what happens is that as I plant and I do water, a lot of the moisture will still be kept because through the plastic it'll stay there. So in a way the basket won't dry out much quicker. Another method I use a blanket, just a normal blanket, and I will line it inside the basket like that. It's environmentally more friendly than the plastic, but it does the same work. So I'm going to give you two tips here when choosing your plant. First of all, I'm going to plant all these geraniums in here. That's 4 plants. This is a 12-inch basket, so I think it'll do well. It will fill out in this basket. But the tip I'd like to give you is that just make sure that when you're choosing your plant, if you want to have a variety of plants in your basket, is that it has the same characteristics as in. If you're choosing succulents, it wouldn't be a good idea to really involve a geranium there because succulents can do without water. I mean, they're drought resistant. Even though the geranium is drought resistant, is that you will have to water it. Also, when you do buy your plants, just make sure that your plants actually grow at the same pace, because you may choose a plant that will overgrow the other plants and in fact take over your basket and kill the other plants. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plant my geranium. I did choose these beautiful colors. Look at this. This is such a lovely pink. This is slightly orange with a bit of pinkish, and we're going to put the 4 in here. What I'd like to point out, this is a different type of geranium. This is a hanging geranium. They call it an ivy geranium. And the beauty about it is that once it does start growing, it'll hang over. So I'm going to put this in a separate container and put it somewhere else against a tree or something and let it just take itself, you know, just explore itself. So these are the two I'm going to do. So we get started. First of all, good potting soil. The beauty about using this potting soil is that, look at that, it's so well aerated and it's full of all the goodies. It's got manure, it's got compost in it, and it's a well drained soil. We're filling up this basket at the moment and we're almost at the end, and so let me do the last pour. I'm just going to loosen the soil out a bit because sometimes it has all these lumps and things. So just to give it a smooth finish. Okay, so here we are. We're more or less ready. Now, The other thing is, as you fill your hanging basket with soil, always just leave a gap, at least an inch, because you don't want that in the end that the basket is quite high. So when you have to water it, the water pours out. What you want is to be able to water into your basket and the water drains through. So we're going to start with the geraniums. I'm just going to cut it. As I don't really want it to sit in here with this clay soil, so I'm going to just disintegrate it and then keep that soil in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove this soil and just come to the end of it and just loosen the soil around the roots. Just like that, and I will plant it in here. That's one plant. So you continue doing this, and I'm going to plant this one on this side, just to hold it. Make sure that the roots are in. And cover it nicely. You just keep repeating the process. The only thing is the basket keeps moving. This last plant I will put in here. I'm trying to balance the colors. And so there you are with your potted geranium, making sure that you haven't overloaded the soil, so when you do water, it doesn't spill out of the basket. I'm going to plant this other geranium, the vine one, which I showed you, and it's got different leaves from this make, but what happens is as it grows it starts to tumble down, and I thought I can put that in a smaller container. Now why I want to do that is because last week when we talked about baskets and we were saying about how you can make your own basket, this could be a good idea. It's just a normal plastic bucket and with the holes for the drainage, and what I've done is I put some stones in there so it drains really well, and we just made 2 holes on either side and just put the wire. So with this you can actually have it hanging somewhere. It's cheap, it's something that you can do at home. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with, again, the well drained soil, and then we plant the ivy geranium. I'm going to make a hole, and I will take my geranium and put it in here. I'm going to just tip it a bit on the side. And fill it out. And there we are, your beautiful ivy geranium, which will sort of trellis down to the side, and let's wait and see what happens. And now I'm going on to my second basket, but this one I'm going to make it different. As we said, this has a blanket, and I'm going to introduce my plastic as a way to shield it from evaporation. And I'm going to fill this, and I'm going to put my Hypericum, into this pot. The thing about Hypericums is that they grow really big and they flower constantly. They've got these beautiful yellow flowers. It is actually a St. John wort, which is quite medicinal, but to ingest it, it can actually give you a lot of problems, so we don't want to go there. But as an outdoor plant, it is beautiful and it does grow and it will fill my basket. So I think we start off with it, and I'm going to cut it. The thing about the Hypericum, it can actually even tolerate clay soil, but again we're going to put it in a well compost soil, and which is full of compost, manure, and that's my potting mixture. So in this pot I think I can manage to plant the 3 of them, let it grow really big, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to fill up with this lovely compost and add a bit more. Okay, so we're ready to transplant my Hypericum in this basket. So I'll take the first one and place it in the middle because it's the tallest, right in the middle. There we go. That's your first Hypericum. I'm going to plant this one in the corner here. Make the hole deep enough. So there you are with your Hypericum, and isn't that beautiful? So fellow gardeners, thank you so much for joining me on my hanging baskets, and don't forget to like, to share and to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the notification button. And once again, as I mentioned, we are on Instagram. Any questions you want to ask, please feel free. We'll always answer it, and if you do have any tips you'd like to share, I'm also interested to learn something. Have a happy gardening day.